Out here today and we're working on one of the most core functions of the fire department, and that's that basic primary search. I know we all think that the primary search and search techniques is basic stuff that we've been doing since day one, and a lot of people think therefore they don't need to drill on it to stay sharp, and it couldn't be furthest from the truth. While primary searches are one of the most fundamental tasks that we do as firefighters, the skills involved with them are still very nuanced, they're still very technical, and there's always good ideas coming out about how we can do these searches better. So we got some great tips for you today that you can take to your next fire ground, or that you can take out on the drill ground and practice to improve your skills in locating and removing civilian fire victims. Let's head inside and take a look.
If you can think about, it's ladder 4 here right now. If you think about ladder 4 going to Station 1's district for a fire, you have a lot of time as the backstep guy to figure out what you're going to. We should all be pretty quick at putting our gear on. And so take the minute to open it up on Google Maps, look at the house you're going to, get that, be like, okay, I can see it. It's a ranch style house, about 2,000 square foot. You've got, as soon as you start getting that in your Rolodex and an idea of what you're going into, your search is only going to get easier. Take it up another level, you can type in the address on Zillow, and hopefully this house was for sale at one point, and when you look it up on Zillow, you can start swiping through the pictures and you can actually see the inside of the house, and it's only going to make you more comfortable when you pull up. And when you pull up and all that is validated, you're like, I was right, it's a ranch house, you're going to feel great about your search. Talking about backstep and pulling up, we don't get the fortune of getting a 360 just because that's not what we're allowed to do. So you're going to get two sides. From this house, we're obviously going to come this way if this house is burning, and we're going to get delta and alpha. That's all you've got to start thinking about what the layout is. So what's on the delta side of this house? This is pretty interactive. I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are.
Sunroom,
garage, carport, yeah. So what usually is off of a carport on a house? What does the door lead to? Yeah, like a mud room or a kitchen. So boom, you already know where one room in the house is. Okay, what do we notice on top of this house?
Chimney.
A chimney. Where's the chimney usually in a house? Common room, living room, right? Okay, boom, we know where the kitchen and we know where the living room is. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, we're in the country club. This is a fancied up ranch house. That's all this is. This is a rancher. Well, we know from knowledge of, we've ran fires in ranches, where are the bedrooms in correlation with the kitchens usually? Or really the carport.
Opposite side.
Yeah. The complete opposite end of the house. Well, that holds true to this. The kitchen's on this end, the bedrooms are on the other end. Now, this room right here in the front is a toss-up with the big windows. That's either a master bedroom or it's some sort of office space. We know we've walked in there now, we know it's like an office space, but you still, what it is what it is. It's either an office or a master, and that's still a livable space where someone could be, right? When you pull up, all of these things are gonna be stepping stones to knowing what we're going into. So that way, when you're blacked out in there, you've got that, that mental image and that orientation of where you're at. Another thing that's just a small part of it to take into account is like victim profiling. When you pull up, the cars in the driveway is one thing. Because of the way we operate, we don't really care about if there's a car in the driveway or not. We're going to search no matter what. So I don't pay as much attention to that. What I do pay attention to is like kids' toys in the front yard, seeing that, knowing what type of victims you're going to encounter.
With all that being said, that's all really good stuff, right? One thing I preach on, and I want you to really start doing this, is everything you see outside, cars, toys, all that, use those as clues, not assumptions. Right? Use those as clues that there might be kids in there, not an assumption that there is. Or use these cars, use it as clues, like, okay, someone might be home. But the moment you start using it as assumptions, that's when you start getting into your tunnel vision and you start thinking of something and you start really getting your searches all messed up.
So on that, moving into the next thing is getting a layout. So when we force a door, what are we taught to do right after we force the door?
Search behind the door.
Okay, search behind the door. Search the area, right? What's that? What are you looking for when you do it? What do they say? It's like three things.
Live fire layout.
Live fire layout. Okay, that is correct. When we force the door, We're laying down, we're doing that, 10-foot sweep, and we're laying down and looking for live fire and the layout. Okay, I'm gonna take it up one more notch, right? So if we force this front door here and you get your live fire layout, what are you gonna see? You're gonna see to your right, you're gonna see that there's, a corridor in the kitchen. You knew that from the outside. When you look to your left, you're gonna see the hallway with the door frames. And when you look straight ahead, you're gonna see that there's a big room, which you know is the living room from what we said outside of seeing the chimney. That does not end just at the front door. At every room you make, you should be doing a live fire layout. And I don't see that a ton happening, and I think it's just because people think that's just what you do when you first force the door. But it's when you make this living room, you quickly lay down and look. When you make every bedroom, get down and look. When you make every hallway, you get down and look. And all that's going to help you is keep familiarized with what you're going to see. If you come in this living room and you lay down and you've got that little bit of lift, what could you possibly see on the floor? Okay, victim. What else are we going to, if we pretend there's furniture in here? Yeah. So like right here, this is probably where the couch was when someone lived here. You see the legs of the couch. You see the legs of the coffee table. Probably could have saw the legs of the dining table. That was probably there. And so when you go from this to seeing possibly what you see to back up in your stance, you have that mental image of like, okay, when I go 5 foot this way, I'm going to hit the couch. And then when you go, okay, I've hit the couch, I've got the floor with the coffee table. If I go this way about, 8 feet, I'm going to run to the dining table. And it's just going to help you just stay oriented the whole way. Make sense?
What makes a good searcher? It's very simple. What makes a good searcher is a good identifier. Right? So a lot of times these people, we come through houses, if you're not identifying nothing, well, guess what you're not going to find? Nobody. We've got to be able to use our hands with good posture and identify different stuff, because once I identify something, well, that leads me to my next thing, my next thing, and my next thing. Like if I come across and this is a washcloth or something and I take this, what should I be able to identify this is? Not a human, right? A lot of times, like I used to be guilty myself, I would get hung up in stuff that I knew in my head when I picked it up was not a human. And then you have to remember, like, we're in here searching for people, not stuff, right? So you find something that's not a human, what do you want to do with it? Right, I see this a lot. People take it, not a human, throw it, right? So now what are we doing with this? What are we doing? We're disrupting this room. Okay, how does these people have this house set up? To live in it. Right? They're not, as they're dying, burning in a fire, they're not taking their stuff and like throwing it in piles and everything and then just go lay down to die. No, their house is set up a certain way that they like to live in. So I like to keep that house kind of in that natural state that they have it set up in, because that's where I'm going to find the people at. So I like to go identify, this is a chair, okay, no one's in the chair. On to the next thing. A lot of times like people get hung up on stuff because they're searching, no visibility. They're like, I need to figure out what this is. No, what I need to figure out is this is not a human, right? Does that make sense?
It makes it like great, because you'll see people like a bull in a china shop. They're flipping over the recliner. They think they have to search under a recliner. Let's be honest with ourselves. If the victim crawls and hides under a recliner, they don't want to be found, and it's too bad for them, right? We're looking for the people that are in between their couches and their livable space. You know what I mean? If this was a living room, there is only so much space for that person to be. It's on top of this couch, it's between the coffee table and the couch, or over there, in between the coffee table and where the TV would have been, just this open floor. So if you really think about it, it's easier to search when the house is filled with furniture, because there's just less space for them to be in.
When we talk about mapping the building and knowing where you're at in here, yesterday the people would find victims. They would be like, we found a victim on the Delta side coming out the Delta side window. Okay, where was they? On the Bravo side. So where's all their help going? To the Delta side. Right, that's what I'm saying. When you find it, if Captain Miller's my captain and I find the victim, he's coming up. Okay, one, he's orienting himself. Okay, we're on the Bravo side. The best way out is going out this window. Then he's making that call. Kind of when you find it, slow down, take that second. Make sure that part's right, because if not, we're going to dump, especially on a long house like this, we're going to dump all our resources on that Bravo side when we're coming out the Delta. So really making sure that we're staying, this is what it comes down to, is whenever we find these people, we've got to be professional in this job. That's pretty much like, it's the game-winning shot in there. Making sure we're staying professional and doing what we do for a living and getting that person out the right and best way.
I don't care if you're the firefighter or the officer. When you make this room or you make this hallway, lay down and look what you got. You will see it today with the smoke machine. When you lay down, you're going to be able to see, this crown molding here. You're going to be able to see where it breaks apart and it ends. And you're going to tell where the cutaways are. And knowing this is a hallway, any cutaway is going to be some sort of door or room. And so like, hey, I just laid down. I've got 3 rooms ahead and 1 on my left. You know what I'm saying?